an ongoing system of accountability that's done through a 10-year cycle. The first part of that is a self-study, which is about 12 to 18-month process of self-analysis and reflection. The whole JFK community was engaged in it. All of the teachers were assigned to different standards teams. You'll see the standards as we go through the presentation. Once that self-study is done, it's given to the NEAS&C organization. The next part is peer review. That's when the visiting committee comes out. Many of you met those members. They come out, they spend a few days at the school. What they do is they then write a report based on interviews, observations, artifacts, and information from the self-study. Based on that report, a few things could happen. Accreditation could be granted, you could be put on a warning or probation, or you could be denied or accreditations taken away. The last part of the cycle is the follow-up, and Principal Sargalski will get to that after the presentation as to where we stand with JFK in the next steps. So I'm going to turn it over to Principal Sargalski.
Thanks, Ms. Middleton. First, the good news. We did recently receive our reaccreditation letter from NEAS&C, so we're very, very happy and proud of this news. However, there's still a good amount of work to be done. So I would like to introduce the team that will explain and summarize our NEAS&C report to you this evening. Elena Beebe, to my left, is our 8th grade science teacher. She'll help explain the 7 standards that are involved. Stephen Jewell in the middle, 6th grade social studies teacher. We'll talk about the many commendations we received from the committee. And David Gerton, 7th grade science teacher, will focus on the recommendations for improvement. So I'll turn it over to Elena.
So the 7 standards are separated into 2 categories, teaching and learning and support. In the teaching and learning category, you will find mission and expectations, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And in the support standards, you will find leadership and organization, school resources, and community resources. Most of what the visiting committee is looking for ties back to the JFK's mission statement, which was approved by the board last year. A general summary of each standard will be read, followed by the commendations and recommendations. We will begin with the teaching and learning standards. The first standard is teaching and learning is mission statement. Missions and expectations. In this standard, the committee is looking to see that the school has a mission statement and that the mission statement is incorporated into academic and behavioral expectations throughout the school. If the school has academic and behavioral expectations that are tied to the mission statement, expectations must be measurable.
For the missions and expectations standard, we earn commendations for the 4 R's: respect, responsibility, readiness, and relationships, which drive our core beliefs as a JFK family. At JFK, we have a tight-knit community of professionals that work together to support each other, and the visiting committee saw ample evidence of this during their visit.
Although the committee observed content-based academic expectations from the Common Core State Standards, as well as stated expectations for social behavior through the 4 R's, we do not have a list of overarching academic or social expectations that all students will attain by the time that they complete their education at JFK. These expectations also need to be clearly stated to the students, perhaps through the student handbook or agenda, and revisited often so students themselves can monitor their progress. While we did recently update our school mission statement, we must also have a clearly defined cycle for the review and revision of the mission statement to better adapt to the changing needs of the students and educational community.
The second standard in teaching and learning is curriculum. The visiting committee is looking to ensure that the curriculum is aligned with the school's expectations for academic and social behavior. The curriculum should be challenging, it should allow for authentic application of knowledge and skills, it should meet the needs of the middle school student and is vertically aligned between schools. The curriculum must also include library resources and technology, and that there is appropriate staff and materials available to support the curriculum.
For the curriculum standard, there have been substantial efforts from administrators and teachers in all content areas to improve the quality and rigor of our curriculum so that it aligns to Common Core standards and adheres to effective research-based strategies such as authentic application. We know that kids learn best through doing, and the curriculum provides the opportunities for the students to do just that.
The committee observed the curriculum in average level classes is not as rigorous as in honors level classes. Subsequently, the lack of intellectual challenge has a negative impact on students by creating a division between the honors and average classes. The committee also identified that teachers do not have the opportunities to coordinate curriculum within the academic subjects over the course of a typical school week.
The third standard in teaching and learning is instruction. The committee is looking for evidence that classroom instruction is current and enables all students to meet the expectations for academic achievement. Instruction should be challenging, self-directed, cross-curriculum, and involves higher order thinking and problem-solving skills.
In the standard area of instruction, the visiting committee saw evidence that some or many teachers are providing instruction that is A, based on current research, B, exploratory and authentically based, and C, incorporating technology and 21st century skills. However, they noted that additional professional development and training will help to make these best practices more common and consistent throughout the entire building.
The committee observed teacher-centered instruction more often than student-centered instruction. The report also mentioned seeing objectives low on Bloom's taxonomy, meaning that they saw lots of goals phrased with words like describe, compare, and calculate, and less of create, adapt, and design. While we do have 3 computer labs that our technology education classes benefit from, other disciplines have trouble accessing the technology. JFK does have a few laptop carts for teachers to sign out, but during the months of standardized testing, which is about March through June, these resources are completely reserved to serve that need. At times, lesson plans need to be modified due to a lack of technological support.
The last standard in teaching and learning is assessment. The committee is seeking to find evidence that assessment of students is current and aligned with instructional practices. Assessment scores are then used to revise the curriculum and improve instruction. Students should be assessing their own learning, and the assessment results should be available to parents and the community.
Home Access Center allows parents and students access to performance information and improves communication and transparency with home. The visiting team also found some evidence of using assessment data to plan instruction in the classroom. For example, the Academic Achievement Committee meets periodically with central office staff to analyze the results of assessments and make recommendations of how to revise instruction or curriculum based on target areas of weakness. Additionally, all content areas meet during designated department times with the purpose of creating common assessments and analyzing data to plan instruction.
The requirements set forth by SBAC testing, combined with the needs of classroom teachers, is greater than the current availability to technology resources. The types of assessments teachers administer vary. While some core subjects share common assessments, this is not the case with all subjects. The committee also wants us to include more student self-reflection on assignments to update our assessment methods to reflect current best practices.
Moving on to the support standards. The first standard in support is leadership and organization. The visiting committee is looking to see that leadership, professional, and support staff maintain the vision and supports the academic and social growth of students. They also look to see that communication within the building, district, and community is clear and meaningful. Also, that the school has a positive climate that is welcoming and supports opportunities for staff and student growth.
In addition to the community atmosphere at JFK, the visiting committee singled out our efforts to award student success through positive rewards, such as Patriot Praise raffles and Patriot Pride cards that are sent home frequently. They also noted we have a clear process to evaluate teachers annually through the TVAL system and an emergency crisis plan that is well established and executed.
The visiting committee praised our new principal's vision, but they identified a need to increase communication of that vision to students, parents, teachers, and the community. They also saw an opportunity for staff to hold more meaningful leadership roles because of the restructuring of the department chair system.
The second standard in support is school resources for learning. The committee is looking for evidence that all supports throughout the school have the necessary staff, space, and materials to allow every student to meet the academic and behavioral expectations of the schools. These supports include special education teachers, social workers, psychologists, guidance counselors, nurses, and a library media specialist.
The visiting committee noted that JFK offers many after-school activities, clubs, sports, academic support, and programs that enhance the learning during the school day and provide students with social opportunities and enrichment. The committee also commended us for the wide range of services offered for students that meet the needs of a diverse student body.
The visiting committee has recommended that JFK have a certified library media specialist to provide instruction in media literacy skills and to provide instruction to students on research strategies to support objectives set forth by the classroom teacher. They see a need to increase collaboration and planning between the classroom teacher and the team's special education teacher to improve the co-teaching model.
The last standard in support is community resources for learning. The visiting committee is looking for evidence that the community supports the school through proper funding and facilities to support the safety of all the students. Also, that the community implements policy, provides necessary services, and plans for future needs. There must be strong evidence of community relationships.
The visiting committee commended the Board of Education's leadership on developing student-centered goals and communicating this vision to the community in order to express the importance of quality schools to the town of Enfield. They also noted our school's partnerships with external community members such as Nantuck, Mass Mutual, and other community leaders and businesses that support and enhance the work we do in the schools every day.
The visiting committee has reported the community, through the Board of Education, supports a revenue source, and although it is consistent, it does not provide adequate revenue to keep up with 21st century educational needs. The committee mentions that while the Board of Education goals like championing educational issues and implementing research-based instructional strategies are commendable, the budget shortfall has negatively impacted our ability to support and fully achieve those goals.
At this time, I'd like to talk about next steps. This school improvement process will ultimately lead to more success for all of our students. JFK is a building that embraces opportunities for improvement and consistently focuses on the child when making educational decisions. The team before you is our follow-up team. It will be our job to oversee the school improvement process moving forward. We will be similar to a steering committee. In early September, we will form a school improvement plan committee made up of teachers divided into each of the 7 standards. This committee will drive our work for the next several years. This committee will then prioritize and chunk the recommendations. Many of these recommendations are very similar and have a common theme. These can be connected together to make our work more efficient. In October, the School Improvement Plan Committee will continue to prioritize which recommendations will be completed for the 2-year report, and then which recommendations will be addressed for the 5-year report. Throughout the following months, we will continue to work with our curriculum coordinators, content area coordinators, central office, and the standards committee members to develop, plan, and implement the needed recommendations. And finally, I will be submitting 2 special reports, one in October and one in March. In October, the visiting team had concerns with the conditions of our nurses' cots, and a second concern they had was the fact that some of our students sit on buses for approximately 10 to 12 minutes before entering the school at the beginning of the day. They're concerned about the cold weather months. These are being addressed at this time, and we will have a plan in place for that October report without a problem. Our March report, we need to connect those overarching academic, social, and civic and social academic expectations to our mission statement and curriculum. They exist, but the connection needs to be stronger. We also need to design and implement a plan to integrate research-based assessment practices and connect grading to all identified learning standards. And finally, in our March report, we need to establish a plan to provide a library media program which is supervised by a certified library media specialist. At this time, I'd like to entertain any questions that you may have.
First of all, I commend you guys. Intimate knowledge of the process that you've been through, and it's a month-by-month process you've got to engage. It's not every 10 years. This is something that's ongoing. It's additional work, and I know the steering committee or whatever you're calling it now it's a huge task, and I commend all of you for taking on that role in addition to all your other responsibilities. I think most people understand that I hope people understand that to do this is not just kind of getting a checklist. It's a huge integrated process, and it's based on a rigorous self-assessment. I've always felt that if you don't have a plan, you don't have a mission, and you don't assess where you are, you're never going to have a roadmap to get there, okay? And so the fact that you as a staff are doing that is certainly very, very commendable. Just in terms of one of the issues, before I lose it in my aging years here, the issue of the nurses thing, I can probably attest to that since I was there for many years, and I'm going to guess that many of those cots were original equipment in 1969. So can we take care of that in some way? I'm sure we can find it somewhere.
To save the board money, we're going to reupholster them, which is a much cheaper option than buying new ones.
They're probably better than the ones you'd buy now anyway, but anyway. I'm happy you folks kept the process going, and I know that I appreciate you telling us about the two responses you have to make in the next couple of months. But could we get updates as you go along in terms of the 2-year plan and the 5-year responses and how people are doing on those issues? And obviously, some of these are just huge budget issues. It's and we know that some of the things they pointed out can be fixed relatively easily if we have the resources, the financial resources to do it. It's not out of desire; it's just out of finding those resources in a very, very tough budget situation. So, but we'll keep plugging away at it one way or the other. So,
Happy to provide updates for you.
Please give us those updates, and if we can also get to the chair, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint that you just did just electronically to us?
Yes, it'll be on the website tomorrow morning, and if you'd like us to print off hard copies for you, we'd be more than happy to
or just ship it. If it's always on the website, we can get access to it, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay. But thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Mr. Peabody. Nice job, everybody. Appreciate the work. I was there with Tim when the committee came due to review you guys, and my understanding was probably very was thorough, and probably some pain was inflicted on you guys through the details, and I appreciate your hard work. Question I have is, can you address the alignment between academic and social expectations? What does that mean?
We have academic expectations, we have social expectations, and civic expectations of all of our students. We need to we have to have these overarching, 3 to 5 overarching expectations, usually 3 academic and 1 or 2 social and a civic. Combine them to connect them or align them to our mission statement so that students and faculty, we're measuring those, we're observing those, we're reporting on those expectations on a regular basis. So kids know how they're doing as well on those expectations, because right now we have them, we're just not aligning them properly or reporting on them properly. Also, we want to vertically align them with the high school, so this won't be a difficult task because we will be able to look at what the high school's already doing, borrow some of that, make it our own, and then make sure we're aligned with the high school as well.
Okay. As Tim pointed out, the biggest thing I see through most of the recommendations comes down to finance and budget. Technology not available during testing time. That's something that quite frankly, with a little creativity could be mitigated. The other thing is space for student support personnel. I toured your building many times in the past couple of years for the obvious reasons, and I have to say the creative reuse of space should be commended, and how we maximize that space, was very efficient. But I think it's just a matter of needing more space for the special needs or special services. I thought the reuse of some of the interior buildings around the hub for a math intervention center was absolutely brilliant. 4 or 5 students could go in there and get the individual attention that they need. Same thing with some of the reading space up in the wings that I toured. So you guys are doing the best you can. You're doing a good job on that. Let's see. Tim hit the nurses' cots. I'm glad to see you're going to repurpose them. What was the biggest challenge? In the themes that we saw, I see the theme is budget, technology. That's all money driven. Are there any other things that you guys saw in your interactions with the committee that would cause you to do other improvements that were not mentioned in the study? Is there anything there? Anything else?
I think in general, just developing a more cohesive plan moving forward so that all teachers are more common with their assessments. You know, with the curriculum, we have common benchmarks. We're moving in that direction. I think to continue to move in that direction, and then having us presenting and practicing some more best practices. We are a little teacher-centered at times, where there's a lot of student-centered things going on. But on any given day, you know, you sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. And, you know, they came in for only 4 days. But we need to, you know, work a little bit more in that area and make sure our PD is driving a lot of the school improvement. And it all should be connected. We shouldn't do school improvement separately from NEAS recommendations. It should all be connected together. So we're moving forward as a building with all of it together.
One last comment, Mr. Chairman, through you to the superintendent. Would it be possible to get this same presentation to the town council, or at least consider it? They're the guys that need to hear this because they're the people that that give us our budget. And a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing really is focused on finance. It seems to me that the staff knows what they need to do. They're doing it. And it seems to be, I would say that this just is a continuous quality improvement type of process that's already existing there. And we're just going to build on that process within the JFK building itself. Just a thought. Thank you.
I'd echo that. I think that would be very, very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Grady and then Mr. Ludwig.
Kind of echoing what Ray just said, what I would like to do from the committee is get a punch list from you guys, what we can do for you guys, the financial part or whatever else we can do. So when we go through the accreditation process again, that we don't have the same thing reoccurring. So if it's a financial thing or whatever, that we actually can go to the town council now and say, listen, accreditation could have been in jeopardy a little bit because of these financial shortcomings. So if we can prove to them that this is when we provide a budget, this is what it can impact, we might have a more solid ground in presenting our budget. So if we can get that punch list from this report.
Yeah, our plan moving forward then, over the summer, I plan to connect a lot of the similar recommendations to get them more together. Right now they're, you know, the 7 standards, so they're throughout all 7, but there are a lot of commonality. There is commonality. Once that's done in September, October, the faculty will help me work at prioritizing them, and then I can get you a good list.
Hey guys, do you guys get rated on like the atmosphere or the environment of the building? So meaning, a lack of a better word, the environment or the atmosphere of, is it rated as a positive environment? Or you know what I mean? If I'm getting to the right word, culture.
Yes.
We got a lot of high accolades for our culture and climate in the building.
And it's not surprising because again, I've had the pleasure of my daughter's gone there. My daughter currently goes there, and again, I think one of the things I like, I don't know if you got rated positively on. Again, they only there 4 days. What I do notice, I notice with my eyes. So when I go to a game or I go to an activity, I see a lot of teachers there, which I think is great. I mean, you can tell, and my daughter plays soccer, and you'll see when you go down the field, a lot of the teachers there are watching the games, which I think it's a subtle thing, but it's an important thing. And I don't know if you get rated on it, but I think it's very important that you see it in that school. And I think I've had this conversation with a couple of you. You probably don't get rated on this, but again, if anyone understands the word vibe, there's a positive vibe when you're in that school. You can see it in the kids, you can see it in the teachers, the administration. Which again, and I think that's a part of education that we don't necessarily, again, I understand the financial aspect, but again, for example, I coach a lot of those kids, and I know a lot of those, for example, I have a young daughter. She was willing at one night to go out and cook cupcakes with some of her friends for a teacher. I mean, you can't put that in a book, you can't put that in a test. You know what I mean? Those things are important. I think you do a great job at it there, and I think, again, for example, you have a sense of humor about it too. And I guess I have a spy there because of my daughter, and I know some of the April Fool Day, Mr. B. I'm gonna say his name because I guess they played a joke with the superintendent was involved, and they still talk about it. So that is, I think, an aspect of education that's really important, that you can't put in a book, that you can't put in a budget, that I think you folks do a great job at. And so I guess my question is, how do you build on that and capture that? Because I think, again, it's noticeable. And if you go there, you get the sense of it. And that's something, again, I wish more people kind of, got the sense of what goes on. Again, that concert that was there, you guys had a few weeks ago with The Lion King, it was well attended. I mean, the vibe was great. The students did a great job. That gal who was what I forget what she was, who had that real sense of humor, did a great job.
That was Lainey.
Yeah, she did. I mean, like you said, those things, again, you can't put in a budget book. Maybe you can't measure in a test, but I think it is what you want to call it. It's measurable if you actually take a look at it. So again, I think it's great, and I think it also shows how we've seen our kids this age group has gone through a lot of change in town, and people I don't think understand. Again, these groups they didn't have their 6th grade class at their elementary schools. They kind of got moved in, but I think you don't see. I mean, again, the sense is the folks have done a nice job getting into the high school. So again, I think you've earned your accreditation. And dumb question, how long does that last? Is that a year, 2 years?
5 years.
5 years?
And then we start the process over, look at ourselves again, and do another self-evaluation.
Well, again, I think that's the key. As you know, in education is self-evaluation. I mean, I know it's hard, and no one likes to ever critique themselves. But again, I think you folks have done a nice job, and I think you've earned your accreditation. So hopefully, you folks, and of course your whole school, is proud of it. And again, I hope there's ways we can take advantage of the good stuff that really is going on, even with all the budget issues that we have. So I say you can succeed even when maybe you don't have all the money you'd like to have. So again, nice job.
Thanks for saying that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Neville.
Just to piggyback on some of the comments that the other folks have made, Ray and Vinny. I think it's a huge accomplishment to do it, and I think we've been sitting up here for a long time, many of us for many years, listening to this, and we have a good flavor for what goes on and the rigor that goes into this stuff. But I think that Ray's comment about getting this before the council is a good thing. Certainly they have lots on their plate, but we talk about buildings, we talk about all kinds of things, but we don't talk about what goes on in those buildings. And it's the what goes on that's the most important. And I think if we go through this rigorous process, I think we should share it with people. The second thing is that we have an obligation to involve the community, which you had to do as part of this process. But I know it's very, very difficult. It always has been difficult to get the community into these kinds of meetings and to talk about exactly what you're doing and to share with them not only the process, but the results of the process and how it improves things. And I know that a lot of people listen and watch this on TV, and I think if we go to the council, as you have educated us about it, we could educate them about what goes on in the buildings and what we do to improve and where that money goes and what it does to facilitate the learning, the ongoing learning, and that you guys are working your tails off to keep that process going. I think too many evaluations and assessments are just events. This is a process. And I think it would be good for them and for us to go there as well and talk about this process, this rigorous process that's going to improve things for their kids and for this whole community. So I think whatever we can do, and I think we have a much better and improving relationship with the council, and I think we're talking much, much more about these things. I think it would be a good opportunity to sit down with them, maybe one of our joint meetings, and have you folks present and give them a chance to ask you the questions. I think they would be pleasantly surprised at what has happened, what goes on a regular basis. And it's not just you go in, shut your door in the classroom and teach. You have this plan that follows a mission statement, has a vision, and that you guys work together to communicate that to the kids and improve the learning. So I'm just, I keep hammering that, but I think it's a good thing, and I'm going to guess that Ray will agree with me. Just a guess.
Good guess. One hard question, and maybe Guy could maybe get this for us. What's the gap on devices that you have? I mean, if we can get a hard number, it gives us an opportunity to have a target and to figure out how we can sit there and get you what you need. So if we get those numbers, that would be good.
Yeah, we
Pardon?
work on getting the numbers.
All right. Thanks, Guy.
What else? Good. Thank you, guys.
I don't know if it's common knowledge or not, but we on the board understand that you guys deal with the most challenging years that you could possibly deal with when it comes to the educational careers of our children. I mean, you've got a lot going on there between the biology of things and the new challenges as you're getting them ready, and you guys do a great job. The NEAS&C evaluation process, has anybody ever heard of an evaluation that didn't have recommendations to it? No. Would you, my sense of the report is that it was not just generally, but overwhelmingly positive report for our school system. Would that be a correct characterization of that? Now, a lot of this is finance tied, and everyone here will. This year in particular, very clearly, it is defined as who is shortchanging us when it comes to the budget. And I promise you that this board will continue to go to our legislature and will continue to go to our governor and work very hard for you to get the funding that you need. I heard someone mention it the other day and I don't want to. We get funding for the schools, but we don't get funding to bring them there. I mean, the games, the card games that have happened in the past that we've all known have been coming is very, very clear who's shortchanging who on this, and we'll continue to fight for you. Our alignment. It's also important to remember there's been significant changes to how we deliver education mandated by the state. The SBAC testing and all of that. So this is an evolving process and has been evolving. You guys have been doing a wonderful job making sure that we are vertically aligned from the minute our child goes into kindergarten all the way till they graduate. And you guys, it's an evolving process, and no one should take anything negative from the fact that there was a recommendation there saying that we're not there yet. We're dealing with a process that has been changed dramatically from what we had when I first sat on the board to basically being implemented halfway through our term last year. So you guys are doing wonderful there, and it should be acknowledged because it sounds like a negative, but it's not. We've come a long, long way in a very short period of time, and you guys deserve all the credit for it. So I want to thank you all. So thank you so much.